Okay, Sistas fans. Now, believe it or not, despite the title of the episode, well, I think Andi's going to be in the title. Like, Andi should have been the one written to be the pregnant Sista. This isn't too much about Karen. Don't worry, I got plenty of Karen-focused content coming out over the weekend, early next week. Those videos just require a bit more research because when I watched the episode and I tweeted out, please, for the love of God, don't write Karen to be pregnant. Because I remember leading up to the this week's episode, aka the last episode we watched, I said, you know what, it really doesn't make sense in the context of Karen's behavior and whatnot. Perhaps this is a situation where Karen is going to ask Zach for financial assistance due to the legal lawsuit she's dealing with. And as a result, Zach will probably help her out despite the fact that he gave her $77,000. And that'll be that, because a pregnancy to me would just assassinate the character more than what's already been happening to her. But here we go. She's allegedly pregnant. But I don't think Karen was the character who needed to have a storyline like this, because the more we see of Karen, the worse she is portrayed and the more people hate her. But like they say, what is it? No publicity is bad publicity or something like that. What do they say? Like, no news is good news. But hey, as long as people talk about the character, she's popular and whatnot, but for all the wrong reasons. But before going into my personal thoughts as to why I think Andi should have been a pregnant character on the show, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe because we are closing in, folks, on 200,000 subscribers. Hit the bell icon and select all in conjunction with subscribe, because remember, if you have subscribed and you have hit the bell icon and hit all, you should, in theory, get notifications whenever I post things on the channel. And with a condensed show list to review here, and with all the news of the Tima series, the fact that Sistas Season 4 is coming 2 weeks after the Season 3 finale, you don't want to miss. You do not want to miss whenever I post content. And follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Now, remember in the haves and the have-nots, yeah, I'm doing a deep cut here. Remember when we were speculating about Candace being pregnant? And I was saying that I know everybody wants it to be Charles's kid, but knowing how slowly the pacing of the show was, where 50 episodes, aka 2 or 3 seasons of the show, only equate to like a couple of weeks, I was like, well, I think it would be interesting, because we know that Candace was a sexual assault rape baby from Derek when he assaulted Hannah. And things come around in this show full circle for the most part. What if Warlock was the father of the child that Candace was apparently carrying? Or perhaps Oscar, the guy that she killed, or Brandon, the guy that she killed, was the father of her child. Way too far gone for Jim Cryer to be the father. But most people wanted Charles, because as she said, it's like, you're the only one I've been with. And then she got killed, so none of that mattered. But the thing is, I felt like with Candace being so sexually active, let me just say that nicely, I don't think it would be right to assume that Charles was the father. Andi is in the same boat because of the fact that Gary is not the only man she has slept with. She has slept with Gary, of course, but she also slept at Paris. She also slept with Paris on the couch at his mama's house. And then, of course, recently, we have the threesome she had with Robin and another female. I feel like it would be incredibly interesting to have this character deal with the consequences of her actions, because, in my opinion, I don't want to say that pregnancy is a punishment, but I feel like there's a character that needs to realize the consequences of her reckless actions more than anyone else, and that's Andi. The fact that you messed around with a married man behind his wife's back. The fact that you throw yourself at other men whenever Gary pisses you off, just to have sex like one time. And then after that, you treat the men like trash. Because, oh, I love my fiance. I love the man I'm in a relationship with. You know what? Gary hasn't given me enough action in a while, so I had to go out there and get some. Look, I know Karen is the most disliked character on the show right now. But at least for the most part, she was willing to hold out her celibacy for Aaron so they can eventually have sex. But her and Zach both had a backsliding moment where he literally had her pressed up against the wall at the salon. So I feel a pregnancy is way too much of a punishment for Karen, because that makes her character looks even worse to fans who are rooting for Zatima. Andi is the character who kept saying, I deserve this. This is my punishment for messing around with a married man, because Karen was begging Andi to leave Gary all throughout season 2 and whatnot. And she's like, I kept looking at other people, I know who have met their spouse, they have kids, and I feel like I'm so far behind. So it's like, if Andi was pregnant, this could be the definition of be careful what you wish for, because of the fact that there are consequences to, what's it called, the monkey's paw, that story where every time a wish was made, it came with unforeseen side effects or consequences. It's like, hey, you wish for this, but there are consequences that come with that based off how the wish was fulfilled, you see? So I think that for Andi, it would be an awakening call, like a wake-up call, like, holy crap, this is what I get for all this sleeping around. And trust and believe, like the video I did, Andi is a hoe. It's been living up. I mean, the Andi we've been seeing the past couple episodes, especially this week's episode, has lived up to that title because of the way that she uses men, and then she's done with them. She goes right back to Gary, and then when Gary pisses her off, she finds a new man to lay up under, goes back to Gary because she's done with him. But no. Look, why are you making Karen pregnant when she had either an STD scare or she legit had an STD by Zach? She's been through enough, damn it. Give something to Andi. That's what I think. To me, it would make the character a lot more interesting than she is now, because now she'll be like, oh my God, who's the father? Because maybe she'll assume that it's Gary, but then it's like, wait a minute, but I did have sex with Robin unprotected. I don't know if these characters have protected or unprotected sex. I'm just saying. That one time I did it with Paris. And remember, in both cases, Andi was incredibly drunk. She was drunk as I don't know what when she left the gay bar with Paris. Remember, that's when all the Sistas crew, Paris, and Aaron went to the gay bar because it was a celebration for Maurice coming out of the hospital after Alonzo put him in there. And she was incredibly drunk, and Karen pulled her to the side like, look, Andi, you're not, yourself right now. Are you sure you want to leave with this guy? And she did anyway, leading to the apartment or the house, wherever he lived at with his mom. She got undressed looking fine as hell, and then they had sex. Then, of course, you go over to when she did it with Robin. I mean, hell, the first time before they even had sex because she decided to leave, they both had a lot of drinks in the Carlisle Hotel restaurant area. Then when they went up to the room, they were going at it, but then she stopped. Then, of course, when she came over after Gary pissed her off again, she had a few drinks while watching Robin and the girl have sex before Robin took the drink, and she was invited to the bed to join in with them. So I think that in the midst of her drunk sex sessions, kind of like drunk driving, there's a consequence to her actions. So I honestly feel like Andi could have been given the storyline to give more weight to her character, to show that there's always a yang to every yin. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. Look, Hamilton is still stuck in my brain after, these past year or so. But I think it would have given more depth to Andi to make her slow down, reflect on her choices, and realize that even though men treat women like pieces of meat and, property, that doesn't mean she should do the same thing just because the man that she claims to love pisses her off. So she jeopardizes other men's lives by coming to their life, having sex, and then leaving them emotionally stunted because she just moves on back to the man that she claims that she's in a relationship with. So with Karen, I don't think the pregnancy was the right call. I'm not saying that as a Zatima stan, like, no, Karen shouldn't be pregnant because she'll ruin Zach and Fatima. No, I think Andi should have been pregnant to make her character worth watching again. To show viewers, specifically women, yeah, it's not right to just whore yourself around, have sex with somebody else just because you're mad at the main person you're in a relationship with. to spite them. Oh yeah, well he says I'm cheating, so I might as well cheat. And then you end up pregnant, and then what? And we could have had an interesting mystery of who's the baby daddy. But instead, we just give it to Karen, and she only has 2 options, Aaron or Zach. But with Andi, there could have been 3, possibly even more. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with me that Andi should have been the one who was declared as, or found out she was pregnant? Do you think more than one sister will end up pregnant? That Karen is just the first of, multiple ones who will end up pregnant. We'll just have to wait and see. But as always, guys, I appreciate the love and support on the channel. As I mentioned before, like and subscribe. It is important so you get notified when I go live or post content on the channel. And if you want to donate, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.